Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lunchtime with Detroit Lions Talk. This is Jim, and wow, we got a lot for you today. We've got an injury report that is longer than a laundry list. I'm not kidding. It's huge. There's a lot of things to go into with this, so we're going to get into that. The food fight today, Matt Prater. Should we give him an extension or not? That's in today's thing. Crystal ball. We're going to be looking at who's in, who's out for Sunday. That's going to be our take on that. We have the question of the day at the end of the show. And, of course, Kurt has his dessert. Anyway, I'm going to bring in my main man right now, Kurt Steele.
What up, no? Hey, welcome to the show. And as always, please watch our videos all the way to the end to improve our YouTube algorithm so more of our content can get to more Lions fans just like yourself. And hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell so you know when you get fresh content from this Detroit Lions on the Prowl show. The show, it's time to start the show right now. Hey, welcome back to the show. It's time for the comment cards where we read your responses from yesterday. Jim, take it away.
All right, we're going to get into this right now. We're going to talk about your comments to us. Luke G's field review. Shout out to Gridiron Goku for the sick beat. That takes talent. That beat was fire. Really appreciate Gridiron Goku. I've talked to him for quite a while now, and he gave me 4 beats for and some. We're going to have more upcoming for the show. Really appreciate you, man. Just wanted to give you a shout out on the show. And Kurt?
Hey, Chris Cowball. I think I'm saying that right. Good stuff, guys. Gave us a thumbs up. He said, I really like this format you going with. Keep it up. Well, thank you, Chris. We appreciate your comments. Hey, man, we really like when fans give us some positive feedback.
Yes, we do. I really appreciate that, Chris. Mortal Films has been rocking with us. At number 9, a.k.a. I don't know how to say that. It's Matthew Stafford.
Yeah,
Matthew
Stafford.
So he's talking about padding his stats at the end of the games and stuff like that. Could go blow this thing up already. I think he's saying he wants to get rid of Staford.
Yeah. Well, that goes with our next and final comment. Austin Nicholas says, have to get rid of Staford.
I would talk about that in a minute. Do you think we have to get rid of Staford at 32 years old?
Stafford's the only reason we won a lot of the games we won in the past decade. So, yeah, even this year, if we wouldn't win last year when we lost Stafford, we stopped winning.
Yeah,
so I don't understand
the brakes on this a little bit, man. I mean, this guy still doesn't have a running game.
Yeah. Still. Even
Tell me how many times this year we've had a 100-yard rusher?
Once. One time.
Because they took Adrian Peterson out, or he would have had 100 yards. He had 93. And I think DeAndre Swift, he had 116.
Yeah.
Or 114, somewhere in there.
114. Yeah, 114. Yeah. And two touchdowns. Yeah.
And 2 touchdowns.
But
other than that, where is his defense? Where is his running game? I mean,
we had 29 yards rushing the last game. 29. You tell me what quarterback can win doing that? No, it's gonna be few and far between. You can have
really will.
29 yards.
The other thing is why is it that the Lions cannot play all 3 phases up to par at any time? It seems like.
Yeah,
it's always one of those phases is off. Like the defense is not playing well, or the offense is not playing well, so they leave the defense out there too long. So then the defense starts not playing. It just implodes just about every game, unless we're playing a really sucky team.
Yep. Man,
and that just shows that we're not prepared, and the pieces that we got aren't right. And as we've been talking about, and as Mortal Films was talking about, it's time to blow this thing up. Blow it up.
Blow it up. Yeah.
All right, we spent enough time on that. So
yeah, it's time for Jim and his bite-sized nuggets. Jim,
We have one today. There is not, I'm being honest with you, there's not a whole lot of news coming out of Allen Park right now. But Kelly Stafford went off again on Instagram.
Again.
You know what? She's the only one I can rely on news that tells the truth. I blame the NFL for not holding themselves accountable. These are the people's lives and livelihoods that are in those results in their test sites.
Yeah.
Maybe we should establish maybe we should absolutely, hold on a second. I got the comment is kind of messed up here. Absolutely positive a person has COVID before releasing that info into the world. Boy, she's right about that.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, if you have a report, make sure it's the complete report. Don't just say Matthew Stafford's on the COVID list. Say why he's on the COVID list. So say, hey, Matthew Stafford's on the COVID list because he came in contact with somebody who had COVID before, so now he's on the list because he was in contact with someone who was contagious. So say that. Don't say he's just on the COVID list so everyone's going to assume right out the gate again that he's positive, and he was not.
Again. And it says, here we go. She says,
twice.
Here we go again. And she says, throwing my family out there when no one is positive.
Yeah. She had all the family's been tested. All the, no one's positive. They're all negative. But now he's in isolation. So he won't be, with his family. And I think they're actually flying him to Minnesota early. He'll be there, but way before the team gets there, so he can be in isolation. So if he tests negative there for the 5 days, then he'll be able to play on Sunday.
Yeah, he'll be able to play on Sunday if the 5 days, and I think the 5th day is Sunday, isn't it?
It's Sunday, I believe so. Yeah.
Ooh. Boy, that's close. We'll talk about that today. We'll talk about the crystal ball and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But right now,
Kelly.
Go ahead.
Wait a minute. Kelly she's right, man. Because they are public. They have a public family. She's a public image, a person. So she's someone who's in a public eye. And, of course, people just think of Matthew, but she has her own thing going. She has, she does her stuff on Instagram. She does like a lot of product endorsements and stuff like that. So she's a public figure. So you think people aren't going to come for her, you know what I'm saying? Because they came for her last time.
Yep.
I mean, you think about the stuff they put our family through, kicking them off the playground, telling them, being, really asinine to them in the grocery store. That stuff's not cool. So, and you're putting people's lives at stake, or their reputations, livelihoods, and where people aren't going to want to interact with them because they think that they're positive with COVID-19. That's just kind of irresponsible by the league itself.
It is irresponsible reporting too, because it's the media as well, because you have to get all the facts first. Yeah. And I think just because it came out there that, that he's on the list,
people want the scoop.
They want to know if he's positive or not, but it's so complicated because it's kind of the doctor-patient privilege type thing where they don't want to give out the diagnosis, but yet again you have to because it's endangering other people. Yeah, just a big mess. It's
definitely people don't want to violate HIPAA and stuff like that, but and then you have that the TMZ mentality where you want to get the story out there. Be the first one to get the story out there. I got the scoop. Matthew Stafford's on the COVID list again. And this is what's and you don't know the whole story, and you just putting out information, and that affects people down the line. It affects him and his wife and his kids, and that's just bad reporting. So go ahead, my man.
All right, so now we're going to come up to the Cooking with Coaches session. Right now we're going to have a session with Matt, Patricia, and talking about Allen Park and how they've avoided being shut down. So we're going to go to that right now.
Obviously, I'm really not going to comment on anybody's individual situation, but I will say, just to answer your question as far as the building, we're always in communication with the league and the protocols that come out and what we can always modify. We've actually modified the building probably 2 or 3 times already. Just, again, we always do it on our own to ensure the health and safety of our team and to try to keep everybody as safe as possible in the building. So we're kind of always going to whatever level we think we need to accommodate, where we are, just I would say where the communities are. That's really the biggest thing for us is kind of what's happening in the communities, and we understand that as those numbers increase, obviously the opportunities or the situations for us, we have to be more careful in those, what we do inside the building. So from that standpoint, we're always trying to improve. We're always trying to adjust the facility to make sure that everyone can work safely. There's no need for us to shut down the facility. There's no need for any of that as far as our situation. So, I can't speak to the future. I think that right now, everybody across the country, and especially in Michigan right now with the cases going up, really no one knows what the next day is going to look like. We just got to do the best we can to stay safe today.
Hey, cooking with the coach, Matt Patricia, explaining why the Lions don't have to shut down Allen Park. Now, if you remember back to the earlier part of the spring, the Lions were the first team to have the get certified by the league with their COVID response, having their facility up to snuff. So that's one thing the Lions as an organization, not as a team, have done well this season, is making sure that the players and their staff are safe at Allen Park.
Yeah, that's true. And I like the fact that they said they redid that place 2 to 3 times to make sure that it was safe for the players. I like the fact that they have safety first in mind in Allen Park right now. I think it bodes well for future, free agents and things like that. That is one thing we really need to turn around, is the negativity around the organization itself. As viewed by fans, players, and everyone else. We need to turn that around in our mind maybe first before other people accept that there's going to be changes, or there is changes going on there. But you know what? I don't usually do this, but like the video, we really haven't had the likes versus the people watching the video. So if you could put a quick thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. 71% of you are watching the show but have not subscribed yet. What's up with that? Just kidding.
Yeah, come on, hit the subscribe button. Click the notification bell.
Yeah, so you know when more content's coming out from us. And watch the videos to the end. It does really help with us getting our content out there to more people. All right, now we're going to come up to the main course. And what we're talking about is, will Matthew Stafford play Sunday? And then we're going to play a little game with a crystal ball. We're going to look into our crystal ball, and we're going to see which player is going to play that we think, and which player do we think is going to be out. And so that'll be a back and forth thing. So we're going to go to the injury report right now. And let's first go through the injuries so that everybody knows who's in, who's out.
Hey, let's look at the injury report from yesterday. Jamal Agnew was out with some ribs, our leading rusher from the last game. Taylor Decker was out with a back. He did not practice. We all know that Galladay is going to be week to week, day to day with that hip. So he was out yesterday. Yep. Big V seems to have re-injured his foot. He was out yesterday. Tracy Walker was out yesterday with a foot as well. Joe Dahl had some back issues. He was limited. TJ Hawkinson had the big toe. He was out for he was limited yesterday in practice. Christian Jones, well, he can just have a seat, but he had a knee that limited him in practice yesterday as well. Daryl Roberts with a hip and a groin, that was his problem last week as well. Danny Shelton with a wrist issue, so maybe that happened when he was pulling Phillip Rivers to the ground and got a flag. And Desmond Trufant still with that hamstring injury. Rest up, man. We'll see you next season.
The biggest news of the day is Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, definitely.
And I try to go through this and explain it a little bit. He does not have COVID-19. So let's get the report straight. He does not have COVID-19.
Unlike Jared Davis, who has COVID-19.
Right. So he has to be isolated. I do not believe Jared Davis.
No, Jared Davis will probably be out until next week.
So, not that he plays much anyway. Thank you, Matt Patricia. But anyway, Matthew Stafford has close contact with an individual who had COVID-19. If he tests negative for 5 days in a row, he can play. This is the dumbest rule in the NFL. And let me tell you why this is the dumbest rule in the NFL. The reason why is they are quarantined already. All the other players test every day, and if they test negative and he tests negative, why do you have to test for 5 days? 3 days would be sufficient. 5 days makes no sense whatsoever because you're all isolated in the first place.
Well, I think that they're going off of the they're adding to what the CDC and the health organizations are saying. Like, you know, if you have this test, you know, make sure you can test this many consecutive days in a row. So I think that they're looking at it where, okay, he came in close contact, maybe 3 days is what the normalcy would be, but they want to be extra careful, so that's why they're doing the extra 2 days. It takes him away from his family, it takes him away from his teammates, it takes him away from the preparation for the game. Now Matthew Stafford's a pro, he's a veteran, so he'll be ready to go.
And he'll be ready to go. That's not the question. The thing is even our doctor, our resident doctor, Jimmy Leao, says this is ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense to have a player be out for 5 days because it's not going to affect anything. If you have it, it's 2 weeks. You know? If you have it, it's going to be 2 weeks. If you keep testing negative for it, how many days do you have to test negative before it's negative?
I mean,
1 day in my book, but
I mean,
even 3 days. But if you know an NFL week, 5 days is way too long. For the
I mean, because that's pretty much your whole week of practice, your whole week of walkthroughs and everything like that. And
if you come close contact on a Wednesday or Thursday, you're out.
In the training, you don't get the time with the trainers or anything like that. So if you have any injuries, you kind of just sitting there on your own. Kind of. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, I don't know how they would do that. So say Matthew Stafford had that injured hand in the game, I don't know how he would even get that treated in isolation because of the fact he's in isolation. So how would the medical team attend to that injury?
I don't know. I mean, that's a good question.
I know,
how does he get his massages? How does he get his body in shape for gameplay? And a lot of this stuff is maybe there's stuff there that they have in this little isolation spot that he can use, that
maybe
like a massager type thing or something.
The massage gun or something, or they have someone who maybe they may have someone there with PPE that even though he doesn't have it, we know he doesn't have it, so maybe he can have maybe he can have someone in there with just wearing the PPE and taking care of his his injuries or his body, whatever, helping him make sure he gets through, because he can go through the walkthrough with the coaches in the game plan on Zoom and stuff like that. Absolutely. Because that's what they did in the off season. But let's get into who we think is going to play.
Crystal ball. Let's look into the crystal ball and look to Sunday and see who's going to play and who's not going to play. Jamal Agnew with the ribs. I believe he's going to be in on Sunday. The Lions have a history of being very careful with their players, but I think it's either a rib contusion or a fracture. If it's a fracture, there isn't much they're going to be able to do about it anyway. It takes a few weeks to heal. I don't see him going to IR. I believe he will. I believe if he misses 1 week, it'll be this week, and then he'll be back next week. But it's close. I say he's in. What do you say?
I think he's in as well. I just think that they're giving him some rest. Maybe he's just had a contusion and he just needs to kind of rest up a little bit. Next up, Taylor Decker with a back.
That hurts.
That really does hurt
because of the bend that you need as an offensive lineman. That one bothers me a bit. But he was on the injured list last week, too, and we didn't know he was going to play until game time. So this is a reoccurring thing. I don't know if the back is the same thing it was last week. I'm not sure what the injury was last week, and I'm going to say just like last week, he plays. I'm thinking he's going to play. Taylor Decker's a tough dude. He's going to play. What do you think, Kurt?
I think Taylor Decker plays. I think he's in for Sunday as well. I just don't think that even with last week where he was kind of injured and kind of dinged up, I think he's a tough guy. He'll play. We know Kenny Golladay next up. I think he's out. I don't think he plays.
Kenny Golladay out.
Yep.
That hip looks. Depends on what it is, nasty. But it looked like it was bad. Vaitai, I think, is out.
I think so too.
With the foot, and honestly, I think that helps our offensive line and doesn't hurt it.
No.
I'm just being honest. I don't think he's that wonderful. Tracy Walker with a foot. This is an interesting one. Depends on what kind of foot injury he has. If it's a Liz Frank, then he would have went on IR already. So I don't think it's a serious foot injury. Let's look to Thursdays and Fridays practice on him. I say he plays. What do you think, Kurt?
Yeah, I think he plays as well. Excuse me. Yeah, I think he's in as well. I think Tracy Walker is a tough guy. I think he plays. I think he just needs some rest, maybe some ice and stuff like that, and he'll be back out there.
Joe Dahl, he's integral for our offensive line against defensive linemen. I'm not sure about him with the back injury. Ooh,
at least it's promising with the limited
practice.
It's promising.
Joe Dahl goes.
I think Joe Dahl goes as well.
Line are tough people.
Yeah.
TJ Hawkinson, I'm hoping it's not turf toe.
Yeah, I hope not either.
That would be a setback. He's only limited in practice, so I believe he plays.
Yeah, I think he plays as well. He's a tough, gritty guy. I just think maybe it's just something lingering.
He stubbed his toe.
Maybe, yeah. Kristen Jones with the knee. That's just interesting. Because with the loss of Jared Davis, I think he's a go. I think with the linebacker depth,
I think he's a go too, unfortunately.
Yeah, with the linebacker depth, I think he does everything he needs to do to get out there.
Yeah.
Daryl Roberts
with a hip and groin injury, but he's practicing. He's got an LP.
Yeah.
I think that if he goes full practice, he plays.
Yeah.
Man, I think most of these people play. There's a few.
There's not a lot that I don't see that are gonna play. With Roberts, the only thing is that they can bring back in Mike Ford if they need to rest him. Because they have that depth, and then they have Coleman back as well. So if he needs the extra rest, I think they can sit him, or he's a healthy scratch.
Danny Shelton wrist. I think they wrap that sucker up. He's good to go.
He's going. Desmond Trufant, a rest up guy. We'll see you down the line.
Weeks.
We'll see you in a couple weeks. Yeah. Yeah, so that's
but that hamstring's been his thing the whole week. But
you know what? That's a lingering, nasty injury if it's something that's serious, because it takes it a while to heal because it's soft tissue, and it's just really tough to come back from that.
Yeah, and I think he re-injured it.
Yeah, I think so.
I think he goes this week. He went limited practice last week, and I said I thought he would be out. Desmond Trufant in this week in the crystal ball.
As we look into
the future, I think he starts, unfortunately.
Who he started across from? Warrior or Okudah?
Oh yeah, Okudah needs to
have a little break. Okay.
I don't know. He's been playing better.
Yeah,
this awful, but
rotate in, get some rotational.
Yeah.
Some play in, maybe some resting guys up. Yeah.
All right. So now we're gonna go into the food fight for today. You know what? Everybody's talking about the Matts, right? They're talking about Matt Stafford with COVID. We're talking about Matt Patricia should be fired, right? The forgotten Matt Prater.
Matt
Prater's missed 5 field goals in the last 7 games. The question is, do we extend him or re-sign him or let him walk? What's your take?
Hey, it is time for Matt Prater to exit Ford Field. I think it's just time. He's a little long in the tooth. He's had some issues. I mean, it's even the last couple of seasons. He's kind of, been off his mark. And I think that maybe it's just, and now it's not nothing personal, but I just think that it's time for him to the lines to kind of move on to a younger guy. We appreciated what he's done in Detroit, but it's just time for him to kind of hang it up and move on.
I am totally in disagreement with this. I think he should be re-signed and extended immediately. Why?
Okay.
Because he's missed 5 field goals in 7 games. One of them was a 51-yard field goal in the wind, or 50. I can't remember how long. It was really long.
I remember that
in the wind. He's been set up to fail so many times this year. And a couple of them were bad snaps by our, the guy who will never die, Don Muleback.
The mule. So Mule is.
Even in the last game, there was a bad snap.
So that 46-yard miss was a bad snap?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But my thing is,
I don't think he's. I would like to see him be able to continue to be here, because I remember when the kicker was a very difficult position to fill after Jason Hansen. Everybody's a Matt. You know what I'm saying? It's getting ridiculous around here. But when Jason Hansen left, It created a big hole. We brought a bunch of kickers in. We drafted Nate Freeze, if anybody remembers.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
That was a disaster. And we kept trying to fill that hole and fill that hole. And once Prater came here, I told everybody that hole is filled now. Even my wife and other people around me, they were like, "Oh no, he missed this one, he missed that one." I'm like, "No, this guy's money." And I think he will be money if he's not placed in situations like it's almost halftime and you want to get a 60-some-odd yard field goal. And that's been a lot of it this year. It really has.
And here's my,
very long field goals.
Yeah, my take is that he's just been inconsistent this year. Legatron is not the Legatron. He's just back to Matt Prater. He's not Legatron right now. If he gets back on track, then I'll say keep him. But right now, I'll say let him walk. You know what I'm saying? Hey, nice firm handshake, pat on the behind, and then kick out the door. So that's just my take.
All right, that is our food fight for today. Who do you think won? Who do you think lost? Put it in the comments below the YouTube video. Thank you very much for listening to us there. And we are going to go into one of my favorite things in the whole wide world, the dessert with Kurt.
Hey, it's time for the dessert. And one thing coming up, we got some grapes for dessert today. What's grapes? We got some purple people eaters on the Lions. And we're going to have 3 players and 1 coach heading into Minnesota this week. We got Everson Griffin. We got Jaron Curse. We got AD, Mr. All Day himself. And we have our offensive coordinator, Darrell Bevel, all former members of the Minnesota Vikings, headed into the US Bank Stadium up there in Minneapolis. Will they help us win that game? I hope so, but that is a rare feat when you have that many former individuals from an organization inside your division helping you try to win against them on Sunday. That's my dessert for today.
I'm loving that dessert. AP, Everson Griffin, Jaron Curse. And you got Bevel as well. I mean, that's something. I mean, and I think Everson Griffin for sure will have a good game. And I think that's because he's just going to be hell bent on getting after his old team to let him go.
And one interesting, a little bit of sprinkles on top is there was a comment on Twitter saying that Everson Griffin's going to have a big game with Trey Flowers being out in his return to Minnesota. And his reply was, "I got you." So he's ready to go up there.
I like that.
He's ready to go up there.
He terrorized the Lions when he was with Minnesota. So I think it's a good thing to have him at this point.
So hopefully
he turn the season around.
He gets after Cousins in the worst way. I hope so. I'm hoping so.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
So that's a dessert for the day, my man.
We got to stop Cooks first.
Yeah.
That's the main weapon they have. We're going to talk about this tomorrow. We got Eric Thompson from the Daily Norseman with us, and he's going to talk about points about his Minnesota Vikings and what he thinks about our Detroit Lions. So you're going to want to tune in for that because that's going to be a really, really cool interview, and we're going to go into our game breakdown tomorrow. So that'll
definitely.
All right, our question of the day today is: what chance do you give the Detroit Lions as Staford is a no-go for Sunday?
Yeah. It's if he's a no-go, it's time for Chase Daniels to earn that money. Chase Daniels needs to earn that check.
He's been getting a paycheck for holding a clipboard the whole year. So we'll see.
Clipboard and the earpiece. So let's see what's gonna happen.
As always, thanks for rocking with us today. I have that interview today, so I won't be able to be at the premiere, and I'm just letting you know that's why, because I'm doing the interview with the guy for tomorrow's show, just to let you know. And then like I said, everybody who's watching the video, get those likes up, people. We can do it. We can all do it together. We're all a community, one pride. Detroit Lions on the prowl. And I appreciate each and every one of you for rocking with us. And Kurt, take us home.
Hey, you know how we do it. If you watch this all the way to this point, you're at the end. And you help improve our YouTube algorithm so more Lions fans like yourself can get content from us right here on Detroit Lions on the Prowl. And as always, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you know when you're getting fresh content from us on our show right here. And as always, whatever you do in life, you got to boss up, ball out, and be the best version of you that you can be. For my man Jim, this is Kurt Steele, and we will holler at you real soon.